I was wrong about the new Broly BR leader. But before I can explain to you how I was wrong, let me take you back to the weeks just before FB06 dropped. In the early phases of the new format, I was doing lots of testing so that I could see if any of the new decks could topple one of the big three right now. There were 3 decks that were dominating the format, with every major tournament being won by one of these 3 decks. The first and weakest was Jiren, an extremely strong defensive deck with crazy snowball potential using the 4-cost Jiren. It had a few weak matchups, but mainly saw success as a good counter-meta strategy into the other 2 big decks. Next is Evil Boo. This deck is a ridiculously efficient hand control aggro deck. It's straightforward, it's consistent, and it's very powerful. And finally, there's Satan City, the best deck in Fusion World. This deck is a ridiculous combination of control and aggro, with the best draw engine in the game. Decks that could do well into this deck consistently were very rare, and the few decks that did exist had a hard time into Evil Boo, making them inconsistent at larger events. In order for any new deck to be a contender in the new format, they needed to be able to at least go even into 2 of these decks. Otherwise, they would have a hard time seeing any results at the major level. The new Broly leader was definitely intriguing, as you could play extremely powerful 8-cost Broly cards extremely quickly. The leader let you evolve Broly cards into another Broly from your hand with a cost 1 greater than the tributed card, so long as you have 4 mana specifically, and whatever you played came in rest mode. Combine this with a bunch of 4 mana Broly cards that can all increase their cost to 7 in various different ways, and you are able to turbo out the starter deck Broly and the new 8-cost Broly, which heals for 1 health if you're at 2 or less life, and switches itself to active when it's played. If an 8-cost Broly managed to stick for another turn, you could evolve that card into the new 9-cost Broly Secret Rare, which pops all cards on the board with a cost greater than 1, heals 1 life, and is a 55k power double striker. This card also lets you restand when it's played. I guess the resting on play thing was pretty specifically targeting the starter deck Broly. This 9-drop was a complete monster of a card, but the worst part was that it would be played completely for free. This meant that your remaining mana could go to anything, drawing more cards, playing more bodies, really anything as long as you could do it for 4 mana or less. While this sounds like a super powerful deck, it's a very linear formula, and it's relatively easy to develop counterplay since you can always assume they're going to evolve Broly next turn. If you're able to remove the 8-cost Broly as you play them, it slows them down significantly, as it cuts off access to the 9-cost, which is a very important win condition. When I was evaluating how strong the new Broly leader was, I was intrigued by how much it could make Satan City struggle, as the 1-cost removal and fast bodies were difficult for them to handle. But I soon realized that Jiren and Evil Boo were very tough matchups for Broly. Warm Greeting did not slot well into the deck as a Jiren counter, and Evil Boo was just way too aggressive for Broly to handle. Not to mention that the new Blue Daima support was very popular and also gave Broly a run for its money. At this point, I had written off Broly as something that I didn't see much potential in. Losing against 2 out of 3 or maybe even 3 out of 4 of the top decks was a deal breaker for me. But Broly refused to die. Event after event, I saw Broly players wade through the field and ultimately perform better than I had ever expected it to do. The breaking point was when my friend got 4th at the Mesquite Regional with Broly. He did so beating 3 Evil Boo players, something that I thought would normally have been a death sentence for Broly. When I saw that he was consistently beating a matchup that I saw as unwinnable, I wanted to know how, and against my better judgment, I sleeved up the new Broly BR leader and competed in an ultimate battle at Collectible Exchange. Collectible Exchange wasn't only offering the ultimate battle prizing, but a copy of the Altar Gigantic Meteor to whoever could take it home. Because of the great prizing, there were tons of great players who showed up to compete. To be honest, I had low expectations, as I'd only played this deck on the client, and I didn't think that I could take home such a stacked event. But the way this tournament ended up playing out was something that I could not have predicted. I'd like to take credit for the list, but really I just stole yaboyvick's topping Broly list from Mesquite, which I've linked in the description. I did add an extra copy of Chilai into my list, making it a 51 card deck, but I was just testing different numbers to see what felt right. What's unique about this Broly list is that it doesn't actually run Nappa or any kind of ramp card. Instead, it heavily focuses on developing card advantage and controlling the board early on in the game. It also uses a lot of extra combo power, with 3 instant Kamehamehas and 2 rampage controls, a version of Gigantic Meteor that works inside the Broly archetype. 4 copies of Ba and 4 copies of the 30k Broly help pop 1-cost cards against Satan City, and the Namek Secret Rare helps us have that extra bit of closing power, letting us double strike even if they remove our 8-cost Brolys. With a good deck list and a questionable amount of preparation, I headed into the tournament. My first opponent was a Bardock player. Black can put up a bit of a fight if they see a specific curve. 2-cost Trunks, Ultimate Sparking, Para Brothers, and the 6-cost Gogeta are all very solid at slowing down my aggression. The only issue is if they miss even a single turn of control, it's usually lights out, as even one turn where a Broly goes uncontested is enough to gain a massive lead. I win the dice roll and choose to go first. I pass my first turn and he cantrips on his first turn. I play Planet Vampa and pass, as he plays the 3-cost Super Saiyan 3 Goku and puts on a bit of pressure. I use Shuddering Roar to clear his Goku and awaken. He plays Super Saiyan 4 Goku, swings with board, and passes. I don't draw my starter deck Broly, so I don't have any way of popping his Super Saiyan 4, so I decide to leave him unawakened at 5 life, and swing everything into his rested Super Saiyan 4 Goku. He ends up defending, dropping about 35k in combo power. He swings Super Saiyan 4 into face, and I take it, going down to 2. I know he can go for a double striker, but my hand is gigantic at this point, so I know that it won't work out for him right now. He just Para Brothers and plays another Super Saiyan 4 Goku, dropping me down to 1 life. I evolve my 8-cost Broly into a secret rare, clearing his entire board and healing 1 life. I was honestly expecting an ultimate sparking, but he actually just takes the life and goes down to 4. I swing 55 double to face, and he also takes it, going down to 2 life. At this point, I had the ability to drop Namek Double Striker and go for game, but I felt that this was just a bit too risky right now, considering he had a pretty decent hand size. I actually just play a Chilai and pass, as I want to leave mana open for my Rampage controls in case he decides to dump on me. I realized that I made the right play very quickly, as he just dumps on the Double Striker with me. He actually had 2 supers in hand and managed to get to 145k double. It was a bit closer than I thought, as I had 160 in my hand myself. If the draws were slightly different, I might have actually lost that game. My opponent didn't seem like he had played this deck before, as he was reading all of the cards as I played them, and considering this, I think he played it the best he could. My strategy, on the other hand, was very risky, as I just took every single swing and left myself open to a double strike on purpose, as I really felt that my hand was way too big for him to kill me with. I was right, but by a closer margin than I thought. Either way, we take down our first game and move on to round 2. My next opponent happens to be playing the same leader as me. This mirror is extremely weird, as neither player can remove the new SR Broly, since it has KO protection once per turn. What ends up happening in these games is that the player who goes first has a huge advantage, since they can simply play the SR Broly, get a free evolve, and finish the game extremely quickly. And I lose the dice roll, meaning that we're off to a bad start. He passes his first turn, and I play Paragus and search for a Planet Vampa. We both play Planet Vampa on our second turn, and on his third turn he clears my Paragus with Ba and plays a Chilai. One nice thing about going second is that you can actually start drawing with Planet Vampa early on, as the 4-cost 30k Broly is a permanent 7-cost, fulfilling Planet Vampa's draw condition of having a Broly with the cost of 7 or more on the board. He's also a solid body and is difficult for many decks to remove since he's also a 7-cost on the opponent's turn. Finally, having him on board the turn before I play my 8-cost lets me use my mana for other things like board removal, card draw, protection, or just more board. I use my 30k Broly to clear his Chilai, and he combos away his Ba to defend the leader swing. He evolves into his starter deck Broly, popping my 30k and swings face, bringing me down to 3 life. I do the same thing, popping his with my Broly, but he ends up defending every hit, shrinking down his hand a little bit. And his turn is once again the exact same, popping my Broly with his Broly. I go down to 2 this time, but my situation is different. I don't have any way of clearing his starter deck Broly. I can heal, but that's about it. And since he's been able to clear my board every turn, I can't play my 9-drop. This is the reason why it's really difficult to play the mirror going second, as even if I was able to clear his board, he has the tempo advantage and can close the game comfortably. Either way, I don't see any way that I can survive on my next turn. The starter deck Broly simply puts on way too much pressure, and I'm going to get completely overwhelmed. I need to go for game right now, and even though my chances are slim, I end up taking his last leader swing, going down to 1 life. I also charge to 5 mana since I'm not going to be using my leader effect this turn, and start calculating. The only way I can win this turn is if I bring him down to 2 with my leader swing, and then finish him off with the Namek Goku. I do want insurance though, so I decide to go for a 3-way split. I combo up to 80k with my leader, giving him the opportunity to combo out. My plan is to swing around 50k on the cantrip if he defends, and then dump the rest onto my Namek Goku. However, he just takes the leader swing, and when I combo 115k onto my Namek, he counts out 80k defense and gives me a fist bump. I somehow managed to take my second game. That was stressful. Looking at his hand, he didn't actually have a Namek Goku of his own, so there was a small chance I could have lived that next turn, but either way, I probably would have been in a worse position to finish on the turn after that. We clutch out our second game and move on to the 3rd round of the day. My next opponent is on Android 17, and the first thing out of his mouth is,
GG, man, you got it.
That's because this matchup is horrible for droids. Droids basically has no solution to my pressure, apart from trying to aggro harder for themselves with wide boards and the Namek Goku. This only works if you're playing a version of droids that's specifically designed to win quickly. If you're playing a droids list that doesn't run the Namek SCR, then you may as well scoop from here. To make matters worse, he doesn't even see any ramp cards on his turn 3. I'm just gonna save time and skip the recap on this game, since I pretty much just play Broly a million times and whittle his hand down to nothing. He basically has no tools to contest my board as the swarm of 50k Brolys overwhelms him. Even if he had cards like the 3-mana Gohan, these Brolys have KO protection. At one point, he plays the 9-cost Secret Rare Broly himself, and it literally does nothing to my board. I know it's a bad matchup, but my opponent didn't really play into any win conditions, and this game was way more lopsided than it needed to be. I understand the frustration, but I think a big part of winning bad matchups is having the attitude where you're always looking for ways to win. He clearly gave up from the start, and that sealed the deal before we ever played any cards. Either way, we're heading into the final round. My opponent in the final round is once again my brother.
Yeah. We play? Why do we play every time?
Because we just get to grip on this. What do you want?
I'm playing Broly. What?
In the last 2 videos in a row, I've had to fight my brother at the last round of the tournament. I don't know why we always end up fighting each other like this, but I'm definitely not letting him take home the prizing today. What's different about this time is that my brother isn't on his usual droids list. Instead, he switched to Satan City. But instead of running the normal leader, he's running the starter deck Vegeta? What? Apparently, he really likes this version of the build, which leans into more offense, and he runs a very tight build with only a handful of non-Satan City cards. He's not even running Pilaf. Just as an FYI, this video was filmed before the ban list even dropped, so I guess you could just say he was ahead of his time. The only non-Satan City cards are his super combos, Final Hope Slashes, and the Double Striker and 6-cost Vegito. This seems like a troll deck, but it's still Satan City at its core. He was able to beat some solid players on his way here just by abusing the Final Hope Slash and Videl loop. Either way, I think that this matchup is in my favor, and as long as I can prevent him from getting 1-drops established, I should be able to win. He rolls the dice and chooses to go second. I pass my first turn as he just plays a Hercule and defends my next swing with it. I actually brick here, and I don't see my planet Vampa, which is very unfortunate, but I still have 1 turn left to find it. He whiffs on a Sharpener and plays Arasa and passes. Even with drawing for turn, leader swing, awakening, and leader effect, I don't see Planet Vampa. It's unfortunate, but we're likely just gonna have to play this game without it. Losing Planet Vampa is big, as without the once per turn draws, I can easily run out of steam and lose. This is not good. I end up just popping his Sharpener and playing out Chilai this turn. He plays a Videl this turn, recurs the Sharpener, and is able to get a free Final Hope Slash on his leader swing so that he could bounce the Videl back. I take both hits and go down to 2 life. I play my 30k Broly, pop his Sharpener, and then play my starter deck Broly to pop his Arasa. At the very least, if I'm able to get Broly to stick, I have a good chance of shotgunning him and ending the game before I run out of steam. Now that I'm at 2 life though, I'm going to have to start defending a little bit. He builds a small board and is able to do the same Videl into Sharpener play, this time using Final Hope Slash on the 1-cost Videl and bouncing back the 2-cost Videl before playing her again. It seems okay, but it's really not that good that he's not clearing my Brolys, because now I can get a lot of value out of his swings. That's the advantage of constantly clearing Satan City's board. He won't be able to get enough cards on board to remove Broly, and the recurring value from my board will just win the game for me. I play another 30k Broly, clearing another Sharpener, and play the heal Broly this time. I also swing into his Videl to clear it, and awaken him with my last starter Broly swing. I also swing 50 into his Awakened Life, which he combos out of. He starts to build up his board again with Sharpeners and Videls. He focuses on playing Short Hair multiple times here so that he could build up his hand in the hopes that he can somehow survive on my next turn. His hand is pretty big, but my next turn is really strong, since I have access to 2 Brolys, the Namek Goku and the 9-cost Broly, meaning that I have multiple double strikers to pressure him with, and lots of swings to get him down to 2 life. I don't see a way for him to survive. I swing all of my Brolys into his face, and he goes down to 2 life right away. I play the 9-cost Broly, and then play out a Searcher to try and get more combo into my hand. But when I swing with my 9-drop, I realize the massive mistake that I just made. Namek Goku is only a 3-cost as long as I'm below 3 life, but the 9-drop Broly heals me when I play him. This is fine since I had a Self-Awakener, but I mistakenly played a Searcher, meaning that it's now impossible for me to play Namek on this turn. And I've wasted a ton of combo power. This guaranteed lethal turn just became a toss-up due to this blunder of mine. We're going to have to put everything on this swing right here. I go up to 135k, feeling somewhat disappointed that I completely messed up my turn, but shockingly he doesn't have it. He apparently still had a lot of extras in his hand, and pretty much any dump from me was going to be enough to take the game. That was way closer than it needed to be, but despite my best efforts, we managed to take it down. And with that, the tournament is over. Since this is an ultimate battle, I did get the normal ultimate battle prizing, but I also took home this Altar Gigantic Meteor, which is a welcome bonus. It was definitely a sloppy win, but it's way better than I expected for not playing that much Broly in the first place. Ultimately though, I know that I can take this deck much farther, and I feel proud of my second game in particular, where I found the right moment to go for an all-in and ended up threading the needle on a difficult game. That's the secret to winning with Broly. This deck is incredibly explosive, and it's necessary to lean into the ridiculous kill turns that you get when your opponent isn't able to remove your 8-cost cards every turn. If I can get better at finding the right moment to strike, it might be possible for me to even win a store regional with a deck that I underestimated right from the start. Thanks for watching. These videos take a ton of effort to put together, so I would appreciate all of the support. If you like this video, I have a few other interesting tournament runs on my channel, so go and check them out. If you have any other ideas for other kinds of Fusion World content you'd like to see, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.